everybody. 7 o'clock and I will open. My name is Nancy Rabboh, and I am the founder and CEO of the 501c3 organization, Alumni in Recovery. We speak openly about addiction and we connect with community. And tonight, I am extremely grateful, and right before Thanksgiving too, so there's no coincidence on that one. We were very, very happy to be able to present our law enforcement and their efforts in regards to the opioid epidemic and for responding to addiction crises in general. But just yesterday, it was reported that from April 2020 to April 2021, that 100,000 lives were lost in our nation due to opioid overdoses. That is not counting the Narcan, naloxone saves. And our law enforcement has been working very tirelessly for many, many years here in Bergen County. Bergen County has over 70 towns, and each and every police department, and there's about 2,000 police officers, all total, there's more, and they have been responding, many of them as first responders, to the scene of opioid crises, overdose victims. And we have yet to recognize their efforts. And we are so fortunate tonight to have the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office here. The Prosecutor Musella will talk and give us more information about what's going on in our county and the efforts that they have put in so much in response. And we have officers Kathryn Weaver and James Teehan and Chief Moose, excuse me, Chief Rabboh Musella. I'm not Musella. My gosh, I'm so sorry. Chief, sorry, let me just do that correctly. Chief Rabboh, Mustafa Rabboh. Sorry, I just got all caught up with the moose. But Chief Rabboh, thank you. And anyways, I want to present these fine officers, let them speak their stories and let them talk to you about what they have been experiencing. I hope that we can continue this conversation and allow officers from other police departments come and share as well. I think it will just help us be more informed, and that's what we need to do to recover our world, is continue a conversation and really recognize our officers. And I can't thank them enough. And I also want to say thank you to Elias from the Center of Alcohol and Drug Resources, who's with us here tonight as well. So without further ado, I think that the prosecutor's here, and I hope I can just turn it over to him. So thank you.
So I think that the prosecutor is running a few minutes late. So Ellen, we're going to pass it on to you and we'll wait till he logs on. I'm watching the admission, so we'll go to your slide and then we'll come back to him.
Okay. Well, I just first want to say thank you to Nancy and to Alumni in Recovery for putting this all together today, because this is an opportunity for us to, as you said, Nancy, thank law enforcement for all of their leadership and involvement in helping to curb the opioid epidemic in so many different ways. And for me, I'm going to talk a little bit about what the partnership with the Center for Alcohol and Drug Resources looks like with law enforcement and with the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office. But before that, I too have to thank all law enforcement folks that are on the call, that are not on the call, and the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office as a whole, for really all of the work that you guys do every single day to impact on this really challenging public health issue. So just a little bit of context is the Center for Alcohol and Drug Resources has been around for more than 40 years, and we have two major areas of focus. One is the area of prevention, and the second is in recovery support. And over the course of these years, we've really served over more than 100,000 people in the Bergen County community. But everything that we do in partnership with the community. We do it in partnership, and I saw that there are our folks from Bergen Newbridge Medical Center. We have the CEO, Deb, who's on the call, as well as Mike Palello. And so we've got that connection there, because all of the folks that need many of the services that we need in our community for recovery in our world of treatment happens over at Bergen Newbridge Medical Center. It also happens in the partnership with law enforcement. So there's been a major change that's happened over the past number of years in how law enforcement and our community partners and us all work together to work on this issue. So as Nancy mentioned, is that there's a huge number of overdose fatalities that have happened since April through April of 2020 to 2021, over 100,000 overdose deaths. And I know that the prosecutor will speak a little bit about this, but in New Jersey, one of the things that has been recognized is that the number of overdose fatalities has actually decreased. So why is that difference there? I attribute so much of it over to the partnerships and really to the leadership of law enforcement in that effort. If anybody, all of us that are on the call, I believe that there's not one of us that doesn't know somebody that has had an addiction to a substance. We probably don't know, we are aware of someone who has overdosed and who has died as a result of that overdose and of their addiction. But we also have to remember there are so many people who are living a life of recovery and are living a life that's whole. We see that in all of the people that are with Nancy in Alumni and Recovery, and in many of the recovery programs throughout the state of New Jersey, in Bergen County, and in our own neighborhoods and families. The goal with all of the programs that we provide is that we are really there to save lives, and we save lives in partnership with all of these folks that I mentioned. At the center, we have what's known as recovery specialists. And the recovery specialists are individuals who themselves are in long-term recovery for at least a minimum of 3 years. These are individuals who, when they approach someone with an addiction, and I'm going to give you just a couple of scenarios of that, they know what it's like to be in that person's shoes, which really is something that allows that other person to connect with them on a level that those other folks that are not in recovery can't. But it also provides that person with hope, because if the person who's before them is sort of that role model and shows them that it may feel like it's impossible to change, it may feel like it's a huge mountain to climb, but look at me, I've made it, I'm doing the work, it's not easy, but if I can do it, you can do it too. And that's a point of hope for so many people. All of the programs that we offer, and most of them are in partnership with law enforcement, is really with giving people the opportunity to intervene during a time when they're most vulnerable. And there are programs that we offer that are there when there's an overdose that happens in the community. It might be upon arrest, it might be at the Bergen County Jail, it might be in municipal court. And even though these are all opportunities to connect, what we really want to see happen is that we want to provide support to individuals and linkages to treatment before there's an overdose or before there's an arrest. And so the hotline number that you see on the screen is a hotline number that was created with funding through the Prosecutor's Office and managed by the Center for Alcohol and Drug Resources. And it's a 24/7 hotline that anybody can call, whether it's for themselves or somebody they love, questions about recovery, addiction, treatment, Sometimes we even get calls for where can I get my taxes done, but that's not really what it's there for. It's to be there all the time to help anybody at any time of day or night get connected with services. And the services that we connect people to oftentimes are the services that are available at Bergen Newbridge Medical Center. One of the, there's what's called the opioid overdose recovery program. And that particular program is a program that over the years has been created and sustained, and it's systemically changed and become institutionalized in Bergen County that engages with law enforcement. So when a person overdoses in the community and they're reversed with naloxone or Narcan, they are, and law enforcement is involved, they give a call over to the central dispatch unit who gets in touch with a recovery specialist that's on call, and we have them available 24/7 to let them know that a person has overdosed, and then we meet that person over at the hospital. Law enforcement in that situation and in all the situations that we encounter, whether it's upon arrest or whether it's at court or whether it's in the jail, that first interaction with a law enforcement officer is critical. And there's been such a sea change in the way that individuals are treated when they are encountered by a law enforcement person, because now they are treated with respect and compassion and dignity, and not as we would typically think of as an addict, but as a person, as a human being who has a disease and who's in need of some help. That's been a critical shift, and something that I believe is what's making such a big difference in helping people get connected to services. So what we do is we're in that partnership, and our job is to provide the support and a warm handoff into treatment. We need to be there for individuals when they need the help or when they want the help. And so by working together, we're able to make that happen. So that is all a lead into, I know when Prosecutor Musella gets on the call to talk about a little bit of what they're doing from a larger perspective, as opposed to that this piece that we are responsible for in partnering with law enforcement. And really, again, to thank all the law enforcement officers that are taking a lead on stemming the tide of addiction and overdose deaths by working together and working with us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you so much. And now I do believe Prosecutor Musella is here, so I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy. I apologize to everyone for jumping on the call late. I was on the St. Thomas Aquinas STAC Criminal Justice Advisory Board, and I had right when I had to jump off, they asked me to tell them about some of the programs we are doing here in Bergen County. So I apologize for that, but it's a pleasure to be here tonight. My name is Mark Musella. I'm the Bergen County Prosecutor. I've been the Bergen County Prosecutor for the last 2.5 years. I want to thank Nancy Rabboh, and I want to also thank Morgan Kennedy for all the work that they do and for putting together tonight's event and for inviting me here to speak tonight. So thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Morgan. It's a pleasure to be here and have the opportunity to thank the men and women in Bergen County law enforcement for being innovators, role models, and the compassionate public servants that they are. And I want to thank them for their response to the opioid crisis and for the work they're doing in saving so many lives. This week, the CDC has announced that for the first time, drug overdose deaths in the United States will surpass 100,000. In 2021, drug overdoses will kill more people in the United States than car accidents, gun violence, and or the flu. Importantly, however, 4 states in the country have not seen an increase in the number of fatal overdoses, and I'm happy to report that New Jersey is one of them. And I believe that this result is because of the forward thinking of the partnerships and initiatives that we have here in New Jersey, and specifically in law enforcement, and specifically here in Bergen County, and that are law enforcement driven. So I want to talk about three things that we do here in Bergen County that I think are helping and that are working. And that is number one, prevention, number two, connection, and number three, diversion. First, with regard to prevention, detectives in the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office, Narcotics Task Force, are busy intercepting drugs coming through Bergen County every day. But we're also in the classrooms every Friday. We're in the classrooms in schools throughout Bergen County talking about our program called Pathway to Addiction. Our detectives have been speaking to 7th and 9th graders nearly every week for more than 6 years. In this presentation, detectives talk about the two main pathways to addiction that we see. Number one, opioid prescription after an injury or after a wisdom teeth removal, or number two, which is experimentation with substances like alcohol, marijuana, and/or pills. We also have partnered with the Bergen County Utilities Authority for quarterly recycling events. We encourage Bergen County residents to clean out their medicine cabinets and to dispose of unused and expired medications and dispose them at one of these events or at their local police department drop box. We are careful to collect our confidential documents and shred them periodically, but we need to be more mindful and careful and in disposing of dangerous drugs in our medicine cabinets. Second, I want to talk about connection. Since 2014, all police officers in Bergen County have carried Narcan. Last year alone, they deployed Narcan in Bergen County 324 times. That's almost every day. There were more than 600 overdoses in Bergen County last year, and I'm sorry to say that 146 of them were fatal overdoses. So we just don't track the numbers. We try to connect anyone who has been saved to a peer recovery specialist. I know Ellen has just spoken to you about what peer recovery specialists do, but I also want to talk to you about the important role that police officers make in connecting individuals struggling with addiction to recovery. As I mentioned, officers in Bergen County administer Narcan and have done that almost every day this year. And for the past 4 years, they have carried Narcan. And by Bergen County Prosecutor's Office directive, once they deploy Narcan, they are directed to have a recovery specialist come to the hospital where the person is taken. And these phone calls from the officer are just one of the many ways that Bergen County law enforcement are creating opportunities for people to be in treatment and in recovery. Officers also offer anyone arrested for possession or other low-level drug offenses an opportunity to speak with a peer recovery specialist. And during Operation Helping Hand, we have peer recovery specialists sit in our office in Paramus and meet with those people that are arrested and offer them recovery and treatment. So in short, we are using every interaction with people that are struggling with opioid abuse and addiction to have an opportunity for a connection. Third and finally, I want to talk about diversion. Prior to COVID, we began a pilot program in Fairlawn Municipal Court. We called it the Fairlawn Initiative. That allows individuals suffering from drug and addiction, to work with a peer recovery specialist and patient navigator and get the appropriate treatment. And those patient navigators and peer recovery specialists are in court that night. And for those individuals who remain in compliance with their recovery plan, they will have an opportunity to have their charges dismissed after 6 months. COVID has disrupted everything, including municipal court. So after a brief shutdown and now a slowdown, we hope to eventually expand this enormously successful model countywide. We have also expanded that to an arrest initiative where in many police departments throughout the county, individuals that are struggling with addiction or offered this referral at the time of arrest. So we have numerous partners in these efforts, and like the County Office of Alcohol and Drug Dependency, like the Center for Alcohol and Drug Resources, Bergen Newbridge Medical Center, and the Black Poster Project. And I just want to tell you that, and other partners as well. But to end tonight, I just want to tell you that it is my privilege to be here tonight and to recognize the role that law enforcement has played in this fight. And I really want to take the opportunity to thank the more than 3,000 police officers in Bergen County for their sacrifice and service in this fight. And thank you for the good work that you do every day. And God bless you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Prosecutor. I am really, really very pleased to begin to introduce our lineup of officers for tonight. And I was an EMT in Old Tappan for a number of years, and that is actually where I met Officer Kathryn Weaver. And I have to tell you, as an EMT, you know, you have to, you get a call, you're at home, you got to go to the, get the, go to the core building and get into the rig and, go to the scene. But the officers are already there. And I've actually worked side by side with her. And I've got to tell you, they are so thorough. They're so good. They're right there with residents, taking care of them, helping them out compassionately. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce Officer Kathryn Weaver.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you for inviting me to come talk tonight. Good evening. My name is Katie Weaver. I've been a police officer with Old Tappan for over 18 years. Nancy told me to talk a little bit about myself. So I am the first generation police officer in my family. It was never anything that I or my family thought I would be. After 9/11, I decided that I needed to do something to help others, and I decided that law enforcement was the route for me. I never knew exactly what I was getting myself into. I started dispatching in Paramus Police Department when I was 18 years old, and then I went to work for Rochelle Park Police Department as a dispatcher before getting hired as a police officer in Old Tappan. I always saw myself as being a community policing officer. I would interact with the public, stop and talk to the kids. I would always find myself at any community event, whether at work or off. That was the fun part of the job. No one ever talks about the part of the job where you see people at their lows, seeing families at the face of destruction. Usually when someone overdoses, a loved one finds them, frantically calls 911, and is screaming when we arrive at the door. I have worked on loved ones as family is watching, screaming, save them. Once we usually get the patient off to the hospital, we're stuck hearing the frantic screams play over and over again in our heads. As a mom, that hits me. I always hope that there won't be a next time. I hope that another family will not have to go through that pain of watching a loved one overdose. Several years ago, my chief, who at the time was the detective, started to help about a dozen students get into rehab. I admired his efforts and saw a way to help the community once again. The whole reason why I wanted to be a police officer to begin with. I knew that offering someone rehab when they weren't ready for it isn't always the answer, but you could plant the seed. When you are able to get someone the help they need, it makes the lows not seem that bad. From that moment on, whenever I would come in contact with an addict, whether it be a medical or someone I arrested, I would spend the time getting to know the person. We would talk. I would learn about their past, their present, why they are where they are. We would talk about how they hide their addictions, where people hide things on their person, in their car, in their house, which would help me become a better police officer. So next time I know where to look or what to find. I would learn the new code words. I always thought I was young and hip, but clearly I'm not. This would always help me connect with the next person. By the time we were done together, once again, whether it was a medical or an arrest, I would always talk to them about ways we can get them help. One time, about 8 months after I arrested an individual who lost his family because his wife left him due to his addiction, he ran into me at the local shopping store, came running up to me, gave me a big hug, and told me that I saved his life and that his wife now lets him see his daughter and they're working on mending their relationship because he's sober. Those are the reasons why I chose to become a police officer. Those are the moments that I live for. Like I said, I used to work as a dispatcher in Paramus Police Department. In my time there, I got to know Lieutenant Jimmy Teehan. Jimmy is an amazing officer. He's a role model to the community and to many other officers. Nancy, I'm stealing your part here, but I'm honored to introduce you all to him. This is Lieutenant Jimmy Teehan.
Thanks. Hi there, Katie. Thank you so much. That's just a very hard act to follow there. As you're sitting here saying that you began as a dispatcher at 18, we think about all the great people we've met and worked with through our careers. And this program here and this opportunity that I've had to be part of Alumni in Recovery and our whole group environment and actually a family. It's become a recovery family that we're all part of, and we all have different roles in that, and it changes every day. Here in the Paramus Police Department, I'm very fortunate to be the community outreach officer and school liaison. And one of the best ways that I've been able to do this was our Chief Ehrenberg and Deputy Chief Cadetti felt that the basis of our mission is with community outreach. And we feel as a team that if we can build an environment with a deep sense of trust, we can just let people know that we're truly in this to help. We're not in this for numbers. We're not in this for anything other than to make our community proud of the Paramus Police Department, proud of police officers everywhere, and know that this is not a situation that we're going to arrest our way out of. We need to start with teaching, helping, and just being compassionate. Here in Paramus, we are very involved in our schools, and we're kind of what I wanted to take our path and starts at a very young age. Starts with our elementary schools. We do a program and it goes throughout the country. It started in Los Angeles in 1984. It's called Red Ribbon Week. And we do general safety talks with our elementary students. And what we do is we begin our basis of trust with them at a young age. You know, it's a fun week where we're in the elementary schools and we talk to them, and we talk to them about simple things, you know, good drugs, bad drugs, the handling of drugs. We use the words medicine, and we go there and we teach them that it is really important that they are conscientious in how to handle it at a young age, and that they actually can handle it. They have to rely on their school nurse, on their parents, and we go that avenue. And we end that talk every time we do it, talking about our Operation Medicine Drop. And we send those kids back to their homes to remind their parents that Officer Jimmy or Officer Lou, Officer Sal came in and said, it's time to clean out your medicine bin, because we don't know who actually we're going to be helping by doing that. And we don't get into it too much because of their age, but as they, you know, grow in age, we give them a little bit more background and basis. But we get the kids to be part of our team from a young age, and we have them go and tell their parents what we talk to them about, even just the safety of their own homes, where to keep vitamins, where to keep their medicine, how they should not be handling it. Look out for their younger sisters and brothers. We empower them with that at a really young age, and it seems to work. And we just build that basis of trust. Then we escalate into our 5th grade lead program, which we teach at our public middle schools. And we have an amazing lead officer now. His name is Lou Cardone, and he just embraces the kids and just kind of speaks to them at their level. And we build and continue that basis of trust with positive alternatives. We go out there and we bring them on trips. We hang out in the lunchroom. We teach the class. We tell them, you know what, there's times when we're going to come in that class in jeans and a t-shirt and hang out. And then we're going to be there in our dress uniform and we're going to kind of take a different path. So we show them all different surrounding ways of officers. And we just, again, we want to maintain a presence in their life all the way through their school years so that when they have an issue, they feel very comfortable coming to the police station saying, is Officer Jimmy here? Is Officer Lou there? Officer Ben, and they know us by first name. And it's a really positive feeling for us. That takes us into the high school, and we're present in Paramus High School with an SRO. Which right now is Officer Lou Cardone. We have Officer Jamie Pickenich, and they embrace the kids again at a different age, and they talk to them and they become part of their lives. They come to their sports events and they talk to them about things. Where Alumni in Recovery comes in with us here is we participate in a program called Not Even Once. It's an opioid-based curriculum that we teach in 11th and or 12th grade. COVID kind of changed a little bit. So this year we're actually doing both because we do not want to miss one student. And we're in with our school counselors in the classrooms. We teach 2 days of opiate-based education program. And then our third day, we bring our recovery coaches from Alumni in Recovery, and we leave the classroom. And one of the cool things is we do in this class is we show up in jeans and a t-shirt. And we just try to let the kids know we're just part of the community. We have a common goal. We want to send them off to college, making good decisions and knowing, the risks that they're going to take. And then day 3, we pop in and we're wearing that, police uniform, and we're showing them, hey, we have another task here. And we bring our friends in from Alumni in Recovery, and we leave the room and they sit there and they talk to them about their real life experiences. And the best thing about it is that we have such great speakers from AIR that they sat in these kids' spots just a few years ago. And they know what it's like to be a student in Bergen County. The things that they're dealing with, whether it's sports, just peer pressure in general, or just dealing with parents, or dealing with the cops, or dealing with whatever. And they tell them how their path hit a really big bump in the road. And obviously they came to that point where, they have just a successful life going on, and they want to share that with these kids. And it's so amazing that we have this opportunity. And what we actually just coordinated today was pizza and product positivity. I keep messing that one up, and Nancy can give me a wave on that one. I got it right this time. And this is a program that we're going to make part of our Not Even Once, where we have the kids do positive notes, and we're going to provide pizza for an event. And I know Katie's done this, and that's kind of what turned us on to it. We saw how well it worked with her department and how well it was received. But the best part about it is our high school students who receive this instruction and interaction with the alumni they're going to get to send positive notes and let the people know who are in recovery right now, or just starting their journey in recovery, that there are people out there that are rooting for them, and it's just a positive thing, and they appreciate what we were able to provide, and that's awesome. And we are so full of gratitude towards Alumni in Recovery for not only today and letting us be part of this, but coming into our high school at Paramus and sharing their stories. And let's start at home and make sure that we don't have any more of these just tragedies, because that's exactly what it is. And then obviously not the last part, but the next part is the HEART program. And the HEART program, honestly, is maybe the best thing that I've ever been involved in with my job as a police officer. The Bergen County Prosecutor's Office started a program with us. I have to give a shout out to Liz Rabboh, who is just at a phone length from us for every little issue we have or guidance. And Liz works with the prosecutor's office, and I can't even thank her enough for involving us in this program. We are in partnership with Care Plus here in Paramus, and somebody who has an addiction need comes into our police department, and we will help them get onto the path of recovery. And we use so many different people to help us get them to the right place. It is a very strange thing for people who are battling an addiction to come to a police department, turn in their drugs, ask for help, throw themselves really into a world where they'd be normally afraid to come into. And the best thing about here at the Paramus Police Department is we're building an environment that we've continued with the school kids with Trust with the Heart program. All of our officers have bought into this program. So no matter who's sitting at the desk, if somebody comes in and says, I have an addiction issue, I need some help. If the heart officer, which is myself, is not available, every single officer has bought into this in our department, and they're all proud and happy to do this. And we reach out to Care Plus, and we have somebody either come to our police station or we'll bring them down to Care Plus, to Newbridge Medical Center, and we'll get them into that step. The best success story that I've recently had, because we've had so many with it, I just recently went to the wedding of now a good friend of mine who came to us for help with the heart program. And the happiness that I saw between him and his new bride and his family, and the thanks for our program because we helped them get to this amazing point. I can't even tell you, it is hands down just the best thing that I've been part of. And to see somebody turn their life around, it's a great job, positive, wants to help other people, and is living a productive family life at this point. It's awesome. So that's Paramus in a nutshell, but that's Bergen County. That's the partnership, Alumni in Recovery, Bergen County Prosecutor's Office, 70 police departments, everybody works together. We've had other police departments call us and say, hey, can you help us out with this, with the heart program, with LEAD? We are a group, we're a family, and we're here to help, and we're proud of it. And we're thankful for our friends that we have here.
Okay. Thank you, Detective Lieutenant Jimmy Teehan. That was awesome. So appreciate you being here. You know, you were just talking about how coming together and learning from each other, and people coming in for the heart program into the police station. Here's the thing, the disease of addiction wants us so badly to just separate, isolate, disconnect. And with all of our towns together, us coming together and being able to collaborate, this connection is just so important. And again, I just can't emphasize enough how so wonderful it is that you all are sharing and being able to speak. And again, to be able to just continue this going. So without further ado, and I'm going to actually say Chief Mustafa Rabboh's name correctly, I give you Chief Rabboh. Thank you so much. You're muted, Chief.
How's that? Can you guys hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Excellent, awesome. All right, my name is Mustafa Rabboh. I'm the Chief of Police in Bergenfield. Let me start by saying thank you to everyone who had a part in putting this together. Start with you, Nancy Rabboh. You're awesome in lack of better terms. You're always there at the forefront talking about this very important topic. Alumni in Recovery and all the members there that put in their time and effort and coming out and speaking to people. They do this on their own time. And I always, I commend them for all the work that they do, because they come out and talk to people and talk about their most difficult times. I always say it's easy for someone to talk about their accomplishments. Here you have recovery individuals, and they talk about their darkest times, and this is in hopes of saving at least one life, and I can't commend them enough. I want to also thank Dee Guillen with the Black Poster Project. I'm not sure if she's on here, but for those of you who are not familiar with the Black Poster Project, it's a really moving tribute. Photographs of people who have lost their lives to addiction. If you haven't had a chance to go to one of the schools or some of the centers that they post the pictures around, I would definitely encourage you to go there. It's really very moving. I want to thank Prosecutor Musella. I'm sorry, Prosecutor. I know you don't want to hear this and you don't want me to tell anybody this, but for the record, I'm the original Moose, regardless of age. I'm the original Moose. Ask Nancy, she'll confirm that for you.
Yes.
I want to bring attention to the Good Samaritan Law. It's also known as the Overdose Prevention Act. A lot of people are not familiar with this law. It's a law where one person calls the PD or 911 due to an overdose of another person. Both those individuals are immune from arrest or prosecution. This has helped save a lot of lives. In the past, people were always reluctant to call because they were afraid of being arrested. This resulted in deaths that could have been avoided. This law is in effect. We encourage people to please call. You are immune from prosecution and or arrest. We have the prosecutor here who can definitely vouch for that. There's a few things I'm going to discuss, and I'm going to apologize because I'm going to jump around and talk about topics and from different aspects. The opioid epidemic has this misconception that junkies, quote unquote, or lower social status individuals are the ones mostly affected. This couldn't be farther from the truth. It affects everyone, regardless of race, religion, gender, or social status. There are many successful professionals that have fallen victim to this disease of addiction. We've seen people with double majors, athletes, police officers, teachers who have suffered and still suffer with addiction. I don't know many people who haven't been affected by this epidemic, whether directly or indirectly. It affects us all. There's also many cases where individuals have been addicted after taking their prescribed medicine to no fault of their own. You have people who were given these opioids as a result of a sports injury, injury due to a car accident, or other valid medical reasons who are now addicted. I know Ellen from the Center for Alcohol and Drug Resources touched upon it, as well as Prosecutor Musella. In 2020, we had over 3,000 people who died due to the opioid addiction, over 3,000. I would say the number of people affected is at least tenfold. The reason why I say that is the death of one person affects so many other people. It affects the parents, siblings, other family members, friends, colleagues, and so many others. Just imagine how many people could be saved from grieving if we saved one life. Yes, COVID has exacerbated the opioid epidemic. This has caused a ton of strain on families as they had to deal with isolation, death of a loved one, employment loss, and other issues. In 2020, again, Narcan was administered to over 14,400 times. This is very troubling. Although the number of deaths in New Jersey haven't really seen a big fluctuation, I would say the majority of that is due to the availability and accessibility of Narcan. If Narcan wasn't an option, we would see an enormous uptick of overdose-related deaths. Programs such as Alumni in Recovery and the HEART program and the Center for Alcohol and Drug Resources play a major role in reducing deaths, and I can't thank them enough for the work that they do. In Bergenfield, we have several options to help deal with the epidemic. Like many departments throughout the state, we have what's called a Project Medicine drop box in our lobby. Basically, it's a white mailbox where you can safely and securely dispose of your unwanted or unused drugs or expired household drugs. This option is available to anyone 24/7. The box accepts pills, capsules, liquids, patches. We ask that you remove any identifying labels for anonymity. We're also partners with the Center for Alcohol and Drug Resources, where people who are arrested for minor crimes with a nexus to alcohol or drug abuse, they're offered the opportunity to go to rehab instead of going through the legal system. I fully support this program, and for them to be able to go to rehab and not come back and go through the legal system, it's a great opportunity. We're also partners with the Bergen County HEART program. As the lieutenant spoke about, it's a great program. And I'm also going to put Liz on the spot here. I want to say a special thank you here to Assistant Prosecutor Liz Rabboh for being such an instrumental part of these partnerships. We thank you for your time and effort, Liz. It's much appreciated. After we finish this program, I implore you to all go check your medicine cabinets, see what's in there, and see if it's still needed. These could be signs of abuse. Do you even know what drugs are in your medicine cabinets? Have you been prescribed opioids for a medical reason? And I'll give you an example. You're prescribed 10 pills, and after taking 3 pills, you no longer need the medicine, maybe because it served its purpose, or maybe due to side effects, you stop using them. You store them away and forget about them. If I asked you to go back to your medicine cabinet, would you remember how many pills remaining in that bottle? Most people don't. But if you do, if so, let me ask you this. If you do remember, what happens when there's supposed to be 7 pills remaining and you only have 2 in the bottle? This is especially important if you have kids in the home. This could be a sign of abuse from family members. Have you ever questioned yourself, for instance, recall having $100 in your wallet or your purse, and later on you find $80? Another potential sign of abuse. Have you ever placed jewelry somewhere only to return and find it missing from its location? We start questioning ourselves, but these could definitely be signs of abuse. I'm going to close by saying this. Stigma of addiction is as prevalent in the Muslim community as anywhere else, but it's not talked about. I know of my own family members who are addicted, refuse to accept their addiction. I have friends of mine who were phenomenal athletes growing up who are now dead because of an overdose. I had friends who I admired and looked up to who are now dead. So many young people have died as a result of this epidemic. And you know what's the crazy part about all this? Every young person who has died was a result of a heart attack. I say that sarcastically. I have never seen or heard so many young kids die from a heart attack. We know that's not the case. However, it's such a stigma to say that my son or my daughter died from an overdose that they say the person died from a heart attack. We need to change this mindset. It takes a lot of courage for someone to seek help, not shame, courage. The sooner we open our eyes and accept what's going on, the sooner we're going to help each other. I truly believe education is the key. We should heavily invest in education so we don't have to heavily invest in rehabilitation. Say that again. We should heavily invest in education so we don't have to heavily invest in rehabilitation. Thank you, Nancy, for giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank you to all the members and everybody else on this forum. God bless you guys.
Wow, that was well said. You know, education over rehabilitation. Absolutely. I totally agree. You know, last night I was with Dee Gillen of the Black Poster Project at Pascack Hills High School. She set up the entire Black Poster Project, which is about 400 lives lost to addiction-related deaths, and they're primarily all overdoses. A couple of the parents are here tonight that children are part of the Black Poster Project. And you know, we were there, and a few of the officers from some of the towns stayed the entire time. And they looked at, there was somebody from Rivervale, there were 2 from Woodcliff Lake, and there was 1 from Montvale. And they stayed the entire time. They helped take it down and you know, help put away when it was over. And they spoke to everybody there, asked a lot of questions, and it just was really touching that there's such care. And I don't think that any of, you know, I have worked as a nurse for most of my adult life, and you know, but I can't imagine what it'd be like for a police officer to have to be so heavily involved, but to do it so willingly and compassionately with this disease process at such a level. And I'm so grateful that we're starting this conversation, and I want to see it continue. And not to put the prosecutor on the spot, but I'm hoping he'll be here like every couple months, just every couple months. It's not that much, you know, but just to continue. Thank you. I see you shaking your head. He always says this too. He was at a black poster project at Van Zandt Park, and he walked through the entire thing, him and his wife, and he said, Nancy, just know that we're always here to support every effort. Whatever you need to do, we'll do. So we're going to do this again, and we're going to continue, because there's so many officers that should have an opportunity to be able to share what they're seeing, what they're doing, and inform us so we can better navigate this deadly landscape. So that's it. We've pretty much ran out of time. Next time, I'm hoping that we can have the folks from Bergen Newbridge Medical Center join us as well. I think that we have a lot of wonderful resources within Bergen County that do a lot of really good work. I worked at Bergen Newbridge when it was Bergen Regional and Bergen Pines, and I do believe Mike Palello gave me, he said that approximately 3,000 people go through Bergen Newbridge's addiction services a year. Is that correct, Mike? Can you just give me a yes or a no? Well, he's muted, but I'm so sorry. I've just totally put him on the spot.
His
All right,
phone
I
died.
was counting. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, good. So that was a conservative number, but because you only asked me a couple hours ago, but about that, probably more.
All right, thank you. But I have worked there. I worked in addiction services as a nurse on rehab for years, you know, and it's such a great service for our county, you know, free service, and you know, it's just right there and right here in Paramus. But so I want to thank all of our participants, and we will see you next time. This has been a recorded program, so please share it with others. I mean, tell them that they can go to our YouTube channel, and it will always also be posted on our Facebook page. So thank you everybody for participating, and we'll see you again next time. Tell your friends. Bye-bye. Thank you.